Thrillville Off the Rails is one of those games that feels like it came from a very specific era in gaming, an era where publishers weren't afraid to be weird, colorful, and just a little bit unhinged. Released in 2007 on the Xbox 360, this was LucasArts taking the idea of a theme park management game and asking a simple question. What if managing a park wasn't the main attraction? What if the rides, the chaos, and the sheer personality of the park were the star of the show? Now, fast forward all the way to 2026, nearly 2 decades later, and the question becomes whether this loud, cartoony, minigame packed theme park sim still has anything to offer modern players, or if it's purely a nostalgia trip best left in the past. At its core, Thrillville Off the Rails is a sequel that leans hard into accessibility and fun rather than realism. You're not micromanaging finances down to the penny or obsessing over guest padding the way you would in something like Roller Coaster Tycoon or Planet Coaster. Instead, you're dropped into a world where building a roller coaster is just the beginning. You're encouraged to test it, ride it, and then immediately jump off to help a guest, play a minigame, or deal with some ridiculous problem happening elsewhere in the park. That structure alone makes the game feel fundamentally different from most theme park sims, even by today's standards. One of the biggest reasons Thrillville Off the Rails still stands out in 2026 is how much emphasis it places on player interaction. Nearly every ride you build can be ridden in first person, and while that might sound gimmicky on paper, it adds a surprising amount of personality to the experience. Riding a coaster you just designed, seeing how smooth or completely unhinged it is, and then immediately tweaking it, gives you a direct connection to your creations that a lot of modern management games still struggle to replicate. It's not realistic, but it is satisfying, and that satisfaction hasn't really aged. Then there are the minigames, which are absolutely everywhere. You'll find racing games, shooting galleries, puzzle challenges, sports style competitions, and plenty of bizarre carnival attractions that feel more like arcade games than anything else. In 2007, this made the game feel chaotic and unfocused to some players, but in 2026, it actually gives Thrillville a unique edge. Modern games often specialize and narrow their focus, while Off the Rails feels like a variety pack of ideas stitched together by a theme park setting. If you're the kind of player who gets bored sticking to one gameplay loop for too long, this constant switching can still feel refreshing. Visually, there's no denying that Thrillville Off the Rails shows its age. Character models are blocky, animations are stiff, and the overall art style screams mid 2000s. That said, the exaggerated cartoonish presentation works in the game's favor. Because it's never aimed for realism, it doesn't suffer from that uncanny, almost embarrassing aging that some early HD games do. Instead, it feels like a playable cartoon, and while it won't impress anyone looking for modern graphical fidelity, it remains easy on the eyes and readable even on modern displays. The controls, however, are where time is less forgiving. Movement can feel clunky, menus aren't intuitive as what players are used to today, and some of the minigames rely on input precision that doesn't always feel great by modern standards. This is one of those games where patience goes a long way. If you're willing to meet it halfway and accept that it was designed in a very different design climate, the rough edges become manageable, but they're definitely noticeable. When comparing Thrillville Off the Rails to modern theme park games, it's important to understand that it's not really competing with them. Games like Planet Coaster or Park Beyond are deeper, more complex, and infinitely more customizable, but they also demand time, focus, and a willingness to learn systems. Thrillville is the opposite. It's a pick up and play experience that prioritizes fun, personality, and constant engagement over depth. In 2026, that actually makes it a nice palate cleanser, especially if you're burnt out on massive system heavy games. For returning players, nostalgia plays a huge role here. If you owned an Xbox 360 back in the day, there's something comforting about booting this up and hearing the music, seeing the goofy characters, and remembering a time when games felt smaller but no less creative. For new players, the experience can be a bit more mixed. Without that nostalgic attachment, some of the design choices may feel dated or even frustrating, but there's still enough charm and variety here to justify giving it a shot, especially if you can find it cheaply. So, is Thrillville Off the Rails worth playing in 2026? The answer depends on what you're looking for. If you want a deep, realistic theme park simulator, this isn't it. If you want a fun, chaotic, personality driven game that lets you build roller coasters, ride them, and then immediately jump into a snowball fight or a racing minigame, then yes, it absolutely still has value. It's not timeless in the traditional sense, but it is memorable, and sometimes that matters more. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And if you want to support the channel, check out my Patreon, where the latest exclusive is a deep dive review of Resident Evil 4 and a look at how that game completely changed the direction of the franchise. Thanks for watching, and as always, game on.